I thought that was a really good show.
I thought so too. It's
Yeah,
always good.
it ended up tying together very well, which I
Yeah.
didn't even know, because we talked about
We
the
do
passion.
that. Yeah.
Well, because I think everything does have this kind of common theme to it, that if you want to get to a happier place, you got to follow some common elements. And so like the AARP stuff at the beginning, which I thought was really good, that you have this free mentorship and this
no kidding.
really
great
good stuff
there.
Yeah. And so we're talking about following our passions, right? And so we get to spend our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, what have you, as long as you can go, doing things that you actually finally want to do and
that you love to do, that you look forward to doing, right?
And to tie it in with the article at the end, where we, on a social level, we realize what we have to do to be our better self, more positive, operating in a higher plane, rather than to be in a job you don't want, to be on social media that makes you feel like crap. And I mean, isn't it kind of obvious the things that we are doing that are not good for us?
Yeah, it seems very obvious, and yet it's one of those things
it's hard.
where it's like a person with the hammer that hits himself on the thumb, and then they just keep doing that. Just why are you doing that? I don't know. This is all I know.
A lot of it, that lady, Mary Catherine's article wrote pretty well to it about the fear of success and fear of failure.
Yeah.
You know, the fear of failure to, I always knew that I would fail. Why did I do this now? It is painful to fail. It's painful when I don't have a job that works out the way I hope that it will. But
in a way,
you have to course correct.
It's a lot like you talk about, I thought you brought up a brilliant point, which is virtue signaling, and how that's sort of an insurance policy.
Yeah.
But this is sort of an insurance policy as well, because if you don't get your hopes up regarding joy, then from her perspective, you can't be disappointed.
If you don't try, you can't fail.
If you're always disappointed, you can never. Yeah. If your failure is the outcome anyhow, then you always get what you expect.
Yeah.
So I guess in a way that's sort of and when failure happens, well, I knew that was going to happen. You know, if you're not failing once in a while, you're not trying anything. Well, that's true, right?
And we've talked about that. We don't talk about that enough, to be honest. That should be incorporated in almost everything that we talk about, because there's a risk to everything that you try in life. Even if you go up, if you want to do a podcast and you're starting out for the first time and you have some rough ones, bad ones, don't let that discourage you. If you wanted to get up in front of a crowd and one of them goes horribly awry, oh boy, that could be so humiliating. What choked me up about her article so much is both Lisa and I beat ourselves up a lot. Like when we have very personal conversations about that, we can have some real heart-to-hearts about what we do to ourselves, about the way our self-talk. And it could be really bad. And you know what? I'm proud of myself that I always push through in spite of all that. But it's just horrible that we've been hardwired in such a way.
It's very interesting. Self-talk is so important. How you're talking to yourself in your mind. Some people do it out loud, like me. What you're saying to yourself really is like setting a course with on a navigational device. Is you're going to end up in that place. Whatever you're saying about yourself to yourself is really where you're going to end up. And it's funny. There's another scripture in the Bible that says the power of life and death is in the tongue, and those who love it will live by the fruit thereof. What you're saying is actually food. It's interesting. It's your food. You're saying it, and whatever you're saying, you eat, and you become.
You've said that to me since college.
It's a big one. It's a big
about
one.
what you say is so powerful. The power
like
of the spoken
Flip Wilson
word
used to say, "What you see is what you get," and what you say is what you get is really what it is.
And then
we see it. We see it happen. I've seen it happen in the positive, and I've seen it happen in the negative.
Oh yeah.
We've got a friend here. Boy, when I first moved out here, we ended up becoming a friend with this couple out here, and this guy. Boy, charismatic guy. So his name is Josh. So fun to be around and everything. And he was literally the life of the party. And you see him at a party, you want to hang out with that guy because you're going to laugh so hard. And just a great guy. And anyway, he was tragically murdered. I mean, it was terrible. What he was beaten. He was shot. He was run over with a van. It was just terrible. And we were at his funeral, and everybody was just crushed over this. And then I heard story after story. I never heard this from him, but I heard story after story after story about how he predicted that this is how he would die, and that he would die in a brutal murder. And he said that over and over, and they all knew it. And I left that. Anne Marie and I left that funeral because we've subscribed to that whole, the power of life and death is in the tongue. And we're like, wow, you see that now, Barry? I've seen this more than once. So it's again, back to the self-talk. What we're saying is,
wait a minute, man. You just throw that story out. I got questions.
Go ahead.
Was this solved? Were motives found?
Yes. It had everything to do with his lover, who was jealous. What had happened was that he and his partner had moved from California to North Carolina, and they were going to start this restaurant. Well, they went out there and got duped by a con man, and now they had a lot of money. His partner had inherited millions, which they lost.
Oh my God.
And he blamed, the one blamed the other, and they ended up moving back here, and they split up. And so the one had a life insurance policy on the other.
Oh my God.
He and his brother murdered the other one, and brutally murdered him, expecting to pick up the insurance money, but they nailed both of them right away. And so Josh's lover, John, is in prison for life now.
Wow. Now, I mean, the stupidity of that, like that wasn't the first thing that the investigators would look at. Is the first thing they're going to do is who's got a life insurance policy.
That was the thing that we all thought of when it first happened. It was just like, well, we all knew John too. And, John wasn't the life of the party. He's a very nice guy. But it's just completely mind blowing that something like that could happen.
Oh, that's going to be on a Dateline special one of these days, something like that. But I got to say, so you talk about the power of the spoken word. Well, there's also, I certainly believe in people having premonitions, visions,
true.
And so there's, could be that. I don't know
if I had that premonition, I wouldn't be vocalizing it. Just, what did you dream about last night? Nothing.
Yeah, that would be pretty wild.
No, yeah. I mean, I hear you. I mean, you can have premonitions, and here's what I think, Barry, is that I as you know, my faith, I do believe that the devil wants to kill all of us. And he according to the Bible, he can inject negative thoughts into your head, and he wants us to kill ourselves. Like that's his preferred way, Anyway, it's a dark, evil thing, right? These things can come into your mind, and if you start vocalizing, you draw it into your life. You know what I mean? Just like other things that come into your mind, like this podcast. And we started talking, and you started talking about it first. And look, now we're to season 4. We're doing this. And we're having the greatest time. just like you said. And here we are. I mean, I got goosebumps. So I love the way this works in the positive. I hate the way it works in the negative.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So stay positive. It's so important what we are plugging into, because what we plug into causes words to come out of our mouth, which paints the navigation of our lives. So,
and we're in such a manipulative time.
We are. And think about it, is that if you're the enemy, the devil, wouldn't you want all this negative stuff to go over the air in the social media and everything, so that you would say to yourself, like this person who was saying what a horrible person she was, and that she's ugly, and that she's fat, and she's this and she's that. Well, gosh, the enemy wants you to say all these things because it's a form of death. Really, you're taking away like a beautiful part of your life, and it's dying.
I got a dilemma for you. So speaking to what you're just talking about right now, so Disney, which is so huge, bought out all of the Marvel comics and everything else. They own so much, and they keep expanding.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, and they used to, come out with the most biblical content, allegories.
Yes.
That we've ever seen. Jordan Peterson gives analysis on the classic Disney films all the time, and the power of how they're so biblically inspired.
They really are.
Well, now they're completely woke now.
They are. That's correct.
And the head of Disney, the CEOs are 3 white guys. So, and they're all on the woke agenda. So, and they're so infiltrated into society. Where does that go?
I mean, this is, you can see the decay of our society and what's happened. And I really think that it's really hard to disprove that this has had an effect on the moral conscience of the country, and especially for our young people, and
especially because they're not given a real moral compass now.
Look what they're teaching these kids with critical race theory.
Well, the problem is that especially for young white boys, but any boy, is that you're taught that your natural inclinations are toxic, that you're toxic by your very nature. The anxiety that they're filling these young people with it's disgusting. It's
bad all around, because while white kids are thinking that, black kids are thinking, well, there must be something wrong with me. I'm not as good as everybody else. People need to treat me with kid gloves because I can strike out like a wild animal and stab somebody in the neck. I don't have the same brain capacity. I mean, I do know how to turn on my computer, but the president said I must be an exception because the things that everybody's hearing, all that can do is cause problems in all of our relationships, cause problems in our lives and our ability to move forward. Does it seem to you that the government is actually trying to train us how to think right now, or the media or somebody? It seems to be well coordinated into thinking that we somehow have to rely on this the system and these wise oracles that they're the only ones that have the knowledge, and if we try to even think about anything differently, then we're a bad person.
Right.
I just think that it's too bad that kind of force is out there, but I think that there's really nothing new under the sun.
No, it's not.
I think there are methods we can use to, like you said, I think there are things we could do to turn that all around.
Well, I think the movement has gotten a good foothold that is trying to get the woke culture out of our school systems, especially for our young kids. People are waking up. Yeah,
I see a lot of states.
What's funny is I say people are waking up.
But it's
so woke.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember when the whole woke thing happened, and I was so mad because I think the first person I heard it come from was Maxine Waters, actually.
Probably.
And she was like, "Oh, he woke." And I'm like, What? I mean, this is Ebonics, like completely, and it's so stupid. Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yeah, a million years ago, but it sure came to fruition, didn't it?
But look at this, like we're calling people woke, and we're not. It's grammatically that doesn't actually. No, you're awake. You're not woke. That's not how you speak, right? Or we say all these stupid things like, oh, LOL, like you can't say laugh out loud, we wear. So we're just like that show. I mean, we're just like that show.
Additionally,
people can't count their change. The cashier can't count change.
No, it's true.
They got to look at. You go to McDonald's and it's like they can't just. There's a picture. There's icons, just like in Idiocracy. When he goes to the hospital, there's icons of those sick people. She's trying to figure out which button to push. Their mouth is all.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that society has really turned into that.
It is. And additionally, did you see that cartoon? And I can't remember what the name of it was. It's about 5 years old, where it's kind of infamous in this way, or famous, but about showing the future people. They're scurrying around in these like mobile wheelchair
buggies.
And they got just giant sodas all the time. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was that movie actually. Yeah, that was a Disney movie.
It was a Disney cartoon movie.
Yeah.
And
not the name of that one, but that's happened, right?
Yeah, that is happening, and it's a warning to what could happen.
It's a harbinger.
Yeah, right.
And it is actually we're seeing, we have to fight against this, man. This is the ruination of humankind if it can happen with that.
So the latest headline in Google News is CDC mask announcement timing questioned by GOP lawmakers amid Biden crisis.
Well, of course, you have to look at the Biden
that's from Fox News, though. So you got to disregard.
Because it's Fox.
Yeah,
but I mean, you just got to take a look at, like, man, the world's on fire, but take your mask off. I mean, if I were in the Biden administration, I'd probably be recommending the same thing. Say, hey, let's here's what we could do. We could loosen up these restrictions, and everybody will be like, "Oh, happy Friday, woohoo!" And they'll forget all about the fact that, what's that smell? Something's burning. Oh, never mind.
Right. I went to the gym this morning, rode my bike there. It's beautiful, and as soon as I walked in, I'm like, so we don't have to wear a mask now, right? Nah, we still do for now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think one of the things we're going to see out here, Barry, and I'm pretty sure I'm seeing it now, is that the phobia is now going to start to really be revealed. Is that people have manifested a phobia of other people, and just this whole coronaphobia, I think, would be a good name for it, because I think even after you're vaccinated and you're around people that are vaccinated, I still think people are going to not want to shake hands.
Agreed.
I think
that's
going to take time. Yeah. There's going to be a time period where we're going to have to try to relax ourselves into that whole thing. And for those that are really anti-mask or are so irritated and discouraged by the mask, because it is oppressive, I think the message is just try to hang in there and be patient, because I think what we're going to see over the next few months, if they don't foist something else on us here with another strain of the virus, it seems like they're always threatening that.
Yeah, they are.
That by the end of the summer, hopefully we'll be almost back to normal. I hope that. I can see it in my mind's eye that we're going to be.
You would think, but boy, when you put it in a worldwide perspective, Canada is doing horribly with the virus. I mean, their charts are way up. Kind of at historic levels for them. India.
Look at India.
Oh my God. I saw an article about bodies washing up from the river onto shore. It is.
What do you
horrible.
make of that, Barry?
I'll tell you exactly what I make of it, is that because they're barely more than a third world country, that the sanitation systems there need upgraded badly. That's number one. That's I think makes all the difference.
I think you're right about that. I mean, the videos that I've seen of the hospital scenes, I mean, I wouldn't want my dog to be in those hospitals.
Yes.
Some of them looked like they were dirt floors. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Are we seeing stock footage, or is this real? I mean,
you never know.
You don't. And I mean,
I want to take one of those jetpack air suits and fly over there and see for myself.
Yeah. And you just, why did it take so long to impact India? There's a lot of things that just seem really odd about that, but I think you're right. It seems like infrastructure may have a lot to do
definitely
with what's happening in India right
Sanitation,
now.
No matter what the disease is, that's, we read about our history, and when there was feces in the street and stuff like that, that's the plague and rats and all that ran wild. It's always back to infrastructure. It's about pulling people out of poverty, and it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen at an exponential rate, but it can't happen fast enough for a lot of us,
Well, I think it's interesting. And you reminded me, we were talking about India, and sometimes I think, well, they have a religion that prevents them from eating beef, red meat, or at least, the cows, they're sacred over there. And I started thinking about I love beef. Okay. I'm a beef guy. I'm a red meat guy. I love a hamburger. That's my favorite, is a hamburger. And
I know
I'm hearing some scary things about what could possibly happen to meat here in the United States. Bill Gates is out there talking about how America needs to get onto this synthetic meat, and he's got huge investments into this, and I will find him and wrestle him if I have to over and now
it's not going to be in your lifetime. But I think it'll start. I think it'll start moving.
I don't want that to happen.
I always thought that we move toward vegetarian. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is that he's talking about this, and meat prices are going up, especially with this inflation thing going on. And I think I heard Joe Biden talking about meat as well. It's bad enough that we have to wear masks. Don't take my cheeseburger away. What do I have left? Right. I'm nervous about this. I don't want because we're talking about being green energy 100% by 35, I think it is, and that's a pretty explosive, fast pace. I could see meat going away by next year if that's the case. I mean,
well, I'll tell you what, we go to Sarasota.
Please don't let that happen.
I know, Sarasota every year for our vacation to see our mom, and it's such a retirement community that we love. But 12 years ago, when we first started going there, the first thing that you're going to notice when you're driving down the road is it's steakhouse after steakhouse after steakhouse after steakhouse. Not kidding. And so that generation they love their steaks and their red meat. Yeah, I know.
See that smile on my face? I'd eat it for breakfast.
But you see the trend, and I'd say within 20 years, you're going to feel the pressure about the judgment about, my God, he's ordering a burger.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think what's going to happen here is it's going to be like, that guy's an animal,
a barbarian.
Yeah. He murdered animals, and he ate them.
I think so.
He ate them.
I think so.
He's like a cannibal.
Myself, I eat a lot of these, I don't want to say synthetic, but vegetarian versions of chicken patties and hamburgers. Vegetarian, all natural. I get them at Aldi's in the frozen food aisle, and they're good as long as you don't eat them too much. If I have a couple once or twice a week.
You almost made coffee go all over my monitor.
but if I have them too much, it's like, what is this?
I know what you mean.
But when I don't
be hungry.
When I don't have them very often, it's like, man, these are really good.
Yeah. I had a veggie burger that was recommended to me out of the store, and I gotta say, when I ate that, I could not believe how good that was.
Really?
I mean, if no one told me that was a hamburger, I would have thought that it was a hamburger. Wow. But I have a caveat: I was starving.
There is that.
I hate that. And so, I mean, I think if I would have eaten just, like if you threw some bread in the dirt and I ate that, it would be the best bread I ever ate, So maybe that was it. So I went to a vegan restaurant and ordered a very expensive veggie burger there, thinking I had this great experience with this store-bought.
It was brave of you.
It was terrible. I hated it, and I'm never going back there again. I was actually angry. Like, okay, what are you giving me here?
Now, about that veggie burger that you liked, so there was all the rage the last couple of years about the Impossible Burger.
I know.
Yeah, and
have you had one?
No. The news on that is it's got so many freaking chemicals in it that you don't want to eat that.
It'll kill you.
Yeah, just because it's not meat doesn't mean it's good for you. So
right.
That might be what
just because it's not Trump, it's good.
Yeah, that might be what you had. So if it tastes, it tastes like beef, but it's not. Yeah, well, but
chicken.
But if it's a bunch of crap that you can't pronounce, don't eat it.
Yeah,
it's not good for you. So no,
it was terrible. It was real. Like I remember biting into it and then looking and going, "What? What is that? That pale."
Well, this is why I stress those those vegetarian chicken patties and burgers that I get are all natural. And so if you could get that and it's good, go that way, Some of the time. Now, here's another one for you. I forgot to tell you this. I should have put this in at the top of the show with all my other positive stuff. So Memorial Day weekend here in like 2 weeks or whatever. Is it 2 weeks from like
today? That right? Oh my gosh.
I think so.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
So that Sunday, we're doing Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving that we missed out. The big family
how cool is that? What a great idea that is.
We sent out a text and to the extended family, and it was like everybody was like, we couldn't believe it. Everybody's like, yes, I'm bringing this. Yes, I'm bringing that. Can't wait. Oh my God. Yeah, we're all so excited.
What an awesome idea that is. So it was interesting to me, just because this has everything to do with what the CDC announcement, right? Yeah. That they were like, okay, you could take your masks off in public. Well, the CDC already said we didn't have to really wear masks outside. And then they said you could take them off inside. But if you're in a crowded area, then wear your mask and social distance. And I started thinking, well, that's not too different though than what we've been doing. And then they also said, like, if it's like a store or something like that and they have mask rules, comply. Yeah. Which we're kind of
for now
nothing yeah, right. But I guess what I'm saying is, for here in California and there in Ohio, the announcement didn't really change anything immediately,
right?
But hopefully
we need a transition.
We'll see. Back to, it's a little confusing on the whole when the CDC says something and they say it's the science, and then then nothing actually changes. I don't know, man. I wonder. I've wondered this whole time about the role of the CDC and when they say something, are we supposed to do it? I mean, I don't know. Like what are we supposed to do?
I think we all are. Because additionally in that little mix of soup there is the politicization, and we don't want to talk about it too much. But as we start to come out of this, where you and I live, there are some pretty radical people, and I don't want to see people yelling at other people in a store for not wearing a mask.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Police, self-policing, they're vigilante kind of thing going on. The ultimate virtue signaling. We got plenty of those amongst both of us,
Well, we sure do.
So
it's ugly.
We got to make the transition in a peaceful, gradual way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how fast time is flying.
Yes,
hey, Barry, there was a couple of things I wanted to note. So, as you know, I've been doing that show, Cyber Talk with Rex. It's been very successful on IBMTV.tv. Well, IBMTV.tv changed their name. And so they're PodTV.tv.
Sounds like IBM got Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah.
IBM. So IBM and IBM TV were related at one point. They are no longer related, and now they want. And now I don't have all the information, but it seems like they want IBM off of everything now. So they've changed to Pod TV, not iPod TV, but podtv.tv. And we're taking a break on recording our shows while they get their whole platform set up and everything. Yeah, exactly. So not sure when that's going to come back on the air, but watch for that.
Okay.
That's going to happen. I wanted to also bring up a movie that I saw that I thought was really good. Go ahead.
I am not prepared for this whatsoever.
So we'll go into the movie, but I'll talk about and I have a book also that I wanted to talk about.
Oh God!
There it is.
I don't have a graphic for a book, but
this is good though. Movies, TV shows. We'll put books in there as well. You know, if we have a good book that's going on, I think that goes together too. But this one is a 1991 movie. Never heard of it before. The name of it is called Switch, and Switch
sounds familiar.
Let's see if I can pull up.
I know what it
Ellen
is.
Barkin, Jimmy Smits, and so this guy, it says a sexist womanizer is killed by one of his former lovers and then reincarnated as a woman. And so Ellen Barkin plays this guy. I mean, she's the guy's in her body.
They swap consciousness somehow.
Yeah. He's got the rule is that he goes to heaven and they say, okay, you got to come back. We're not sure about you. But if you could go back to Earth and have a woman fall in love with you, then you could go to heaven for the rest of eternity. Yeah. But if not, you're going to hell. And so the devil comes in and says, oh, come on, give him a real challenge. He's just going to trick some unsuspecting woman into thinking he's something that he's not. And they says, well, what do you suggest? We'll send him back as a woman. So now he's still got to find a woman to fall in love with him. And so this whole thing becomes about the agape kind of love, the self-sacrificing kind of love. But at the same time, it's hilarious. It's a fun movie. You get something out of it. And at the end, you feel good. Or do you? Put it away. So anyway.
That's a good one. You know, those three movies all came out at the same time. It was led by Big with Tom Hanks, where he got swapped into the body of a child got swapped into the body of an adult. But what a funny, very overlooked one at the same time was with Steve Martin and Lily Tomlin.
Oh, that was a good one. They got
switched. Remember Steve Martin like sashaying around?
Anytime.
He was funny, man.
That is really a talent, to act like you're somebody of the opposite sex that is inside of the body. How do you? That is a great the acting. Yeah. That's a great talent to be able to pull that out. He's a great actor.
He had such a stretch of just being in his own in those comedies. Another forgotten one with him is The Man with Two Brains. And
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
May not have. It was not a big movie. It was super silly. I thought it was hilarious. What was the one with him? Oh, it might have been The Man with Two Brains, where his wife died and he fell in love with another, or he's starting to fall for another girl. And he's talking to this picture, the portrait of his wife in the big, nice living room. And he's like, Mildred, if there's anything wrong with this, just give me a sign. And the picture starts sparking, spinning around, all this stuff. The walls are shaking. No. And he goes, okay. And his hair is all messed up and everything. And he goes, okay, just a sign, anything. And for now, we'll just keep you in the closet. That was funny. That movie was so funny. There's that kind of silly stuff that he did so well.
He's so good. I mean, he can do so many different things. What talent that guy has. I also read a book called The Odessa File, and that is a very interesting book. I actually found it in my collection of books. It was a book that we got from my mother-in-law when she passed away. But the Odessa File is about a man living in the 1960s in Germany, and he comes across this diary of a man who suffered in the concentration camps.
Oh, wow.
And as he reads this, he's a reporter. He decides to find the commandant of this concentration camp because he learns that he's still alive, and he wants to do a big story on this. So the rest of the book is him trying to find this guy. His name is Rauschba, Edward Rauschba. He's a real guy. And
well, sounds like a real story, right?
It sounds like a real story, but this is what I love, is it's a story that is rooted in historical facts, but it's a novel. And it's sort of a whodunit kind of thing. It's a suspense and mystery. And this guy is that I'm talking about, the reporter, is dealing with all real people and real things that actually happen. It starts right at the same time as the Kennedy assassination starts, and that's all wrapped up into this as well. So you get like this amazing history lesson. The Odessa was the clandestine organization that the Nazi SS had to preserve Nazism after Hitler committed suicide and after the fall of of Nazi Germany. And that is a real thing. And what they did and how they protected these Nazis and were able to work with organizations like the Red Cross and the Catholic Church to hide these SS officers and get them out of Germany. And most of them went over to South America, as you probably know. But all of that is in the middle of this story. Even a guy by the name of Simon Wiesenthal, which was a Jewish person who had been in the concentration camps, and he's a bona fide Nazi hunter. He's a real life guy. He's the guy that found Eichmann down in, he was the head of the SS in charge of the Final Solution. He found that guy down in South America. They extradited him to Israel, and they executed him. But this guy, Edward Rauschba, Simon Wiesenthal, a real guy, helped write this book, this fictitious book that was rooted in history about capturing this Rauschba guy, who was a real guy who was still alive at the time this was written in 1971. Through the book, and then subsequently a movie, they found Edward Rauschba because all of this attention on him. The book was a bestseller. They found him. They almost got him. He got away and ended up dying peacefully in old age about 10 years later. But just a really interesting story. This guy, Edward Rauschman, I'm sorry, is the name. He was the commandant at the Riga ghetto, and he's known as the Butcher of Riga.
Oh boy. Okay. There's no redeeming that.
Nope.
I was going to say, those people were so heavily influenced with what they were going through. Some of them, I wonder how much blame you could put on them. They were virtually brainwashed, but if the guy is taking license to butcher people, he was horrible.
Well, it's interesting. The guy that he killed, the guy, the diary, the one in the beginning, the story was really interesting because this Jewish concentration camp guy, he had at one point he had to take these people, this old lady, to this what they called the iron car, and basically it was a gas chamber, and he was commanded to put her in there, and she knew she was going to die, and as he was putting her in there, she implores him, they're alone for a second, you have to live, and you have to get out of here and tell the story, because they all thought that the Jewish people in the concentration camp thought that they would be killed and no one would ever know what happened to them, that none of them were going to get out of this. And so he ended ended up becoming one of those Jewish people in the concentration camps that helps assist the Nazis.
Right.
So, and they're the most hated people. Nobody,
yes.
But he did that in order to live through that and tell the story. And that's what his whole thing was. So at one point,
God, that's awful, though.
It is.
God.
He has to take this group of concentration camp victims to the Iron Car, and he's taking the group over, and he recognizes somebody. And this woman who's shaven and her hair's all shaven, she's an emaciated mess. She's about to be executed. It's his wife.
Oh my God.
And they recognize each other, and the commandant sees that they recognize each other and puts it together that, oh, that's your wife, and he forces the guy to execute her. It's just, and so after this guy gets out of the concentration camp, it's his life mission to hunt this guy down. And in the end, he ends up committing suicide because he figures he'll never catch him. And that's how it ends up the diary ends up in this reporter's hands. That's how the book starts out. And then it's a page turner from there. It's a great book.
It sounds like it really does. Okay, with that,
and
that's all.
That's all, folks.
I still always think about your boo-boo impression that one day.
That was so great.
I don't know if we should do that, Yogi. You do it way better than me.
Oh, that was great. That was a great thing we did right there.
Yeah.
We'll have to do that again.
I forgot. I wanted to make a note. I had a thought, and I need to put it in my notes like now so I don't forget. One of these days, like one of those dopey things that we need to talk about our greatest injuries that we've had throughout our lives.
That'll be a great one. I've got some.
Yeah, I'm gonna
you've got some terrible.
Oh, I do. Horrible ones. I'll put it in the notes. We're not going to do that.
Like, what?
Yeah, we're not going to
cringing. All right. That sounds like a good one.
Yeah.
Always good. Always good.
Yes. Greatest injuries as kids. Yeah. What do you got going on this weekend?
Well, I'm gonna go visit with the kid's grandfather this weekend, cool. Papa. He just got out of the hospital. Very touchy situation where we thought that was his time.
Wow.
He had internal bleeding, and he got the ambulance ride to the hospital. And during COVID, what we've seen is when the elderly get rushed to the hospital, you sometimes never see them again.
Yeah.
And we were concerned. He's 100. We were concerned that was going to happen to him. They found a massive tumor behind his right eye. He's got, they fixed his GI infection, but he's got a broken hip as well. He fell out of bed. He's got a broken hip. So he's on hospice care now at home. And this is a great thing for him. So they're going to keep him comfortable and everything. He's in good spirits and all.
Good.
But, he's... this is the transition period here. And so we're going to go, Anne-Marie and I are going to go visit over there. They just live down the road, and
nice.
Enjoy his company. But I spent some time with him in the hospital this week. And, because you never want to leave your loved ones in the hospital like that.
No.
Quite an experience, Barry, at the hospital.
How many people had these horrifying experiences during this COVID thing where people that are in nursing homes, entering hospice and all that, and told that they can't see their loved ones as they pass? This
is terrible. And so they actually have now, as things are opening up, they have visiting hours. There was a limit of 2 people per day that could see him. They take your temperature as you go in as a precaution. So, and then everyone has to wear masks all the time in the hospital, including the patients. So, but I work with hospitals. I haven't been able to be in one for quite some time because that's where our meetings are, always in the hospital. This is the first time in over a year that I've actually been in a hospital. And in some ways it was nostalgic, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah, it is.
But at the same time, I'm so glad that I could be by his side at a time like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's one thing. Other than that, we're probably Anne-Marie and I have been doing a lot of bike riding. And so we're definitely going to get on our bicycles. I just got them back from having them both tuned up, and they are like, ooh, I love it. I can't wait.
Hey, so what do you put on your chain?
Well, I've got this. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the wax.
That's what I use. That's why I was asking, because I used to use WD-40 like a dope for years, not knowing better. What a mess!
In a pinch, I'll put that on there. But it's a mess.
I'll never use it again. So I got both.
Wax stuff is the best.
This really good cleaner wax all-in-one spray, but then I also have a bottle. It looks like glue, but it's
that's what I have.
Yeah, which is really nice. So I use that in between. But every now and then I use this intense spray cleaner wax at the same time.
It's so important.
I'm so happy.
Taking care of your chain is so. Have you ever been on a long ride and your chain breaks?
Yes.
Last year, it's worse than a flat tire.
It is. When my chain broke there a few years ago, it went like I almost flipped over because it went into my gears in such a way.
Oh, yeah, right.
I locked up immediately.
Yeah, that
last year, dude,
serious thing.
I broke my derailleur last year.
Whoa.
Which was like, whoa. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It's like, how do you do that? I don't know, but
that's crazy.
Got that. And it's all brand new. And so I don't know. I rarely take mine in for a so-called tune-up because, well, you get your derailleur replaced and then they put your gears all in line. That's the only thing I cannot master is fine-tuning those gears.
Oh, I'm gonna have to roll here.
Okay, it's time anyway.
Yeah.
Sure, it's time. Yes.
Hey, man, this has been great.
Yeah, it certainly has, buddy. Love you. Have a good weekend.
You too, Barry. Bye now.
Bye.